been a manual labor the last 4 days in my house, building flower boxes and stuff.
Oh, I've been doing the same thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah, I've been putting that off for 3 years.
About 10 seconds.
Thank you.
Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County.
The Chautauqua Center.
Are you looking for affordable medical, dental, or counseling services? The Chautauqua Center is always accepting new patients at their Jamestown and Dunkirk locations. They offer discounted prescriptions and accept all insurances. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Morning, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. And the sunrise did come up again once, as it does every week and every day, and I'm glad you're here. Good afternoon to everybody that's listening on WRFA 107.9, Low Power to the People, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. I want to say good morning to the world, because as you know, we stream live everywhere that has Facebook or a computer, whatever. And so good morning to Europe, Asia, Africa, wherever you're watching from. So glad you could join us. Well, as I was on my way here, I thought, what could I say that hasn't been said? And there isn't much as far as where we all are right now, other than the fact is, we often say that the world has shrunk. Boy, it's shrunk through technology, through our ability to move goods and services and so forth. And this whole viral thing only took a couple weeks, that's all. Amazing how fast things can move around the world. We were talking the other day, and I was thinking, when I was a superintendent of schools, we talked about this. We talked about the possibility of what we would do during the pandemic. So the school systems were sort of kind of prepared. As superintendents, we all had some general plans, and the district superintendent at BOCES would have a phone system of how he would communicate with us and things like that. A lot of this came out of 911, 9/11, and that sort of thing. So people were in the preparation mode. Unfortunately, as time goes by, we kind of forget about it. We just put those plans and, to hold the door open or something like that, or up on the shelf. But here we are, nonetheless. I want to point out to you that throughout the week, you probably have been watching Chautauqua Strong Moments from various folks from the government here in Chautauqua County. We're going to be doing a couple more today, so I encourage you to look for those. And then if there's any new information that comes along, we're going to be doing more and more service announcements. So please do check in with us. If you're watching us live and you're somewhere in the county, we are on channel 1301 on Spectrum. If you're watching right now, we are live. Last week we weren't. But if you have a question for myself, a comment, any kind of announcement for your club or organization, we're going to pop up the number at 716-753-5225, and you can call us and say hello or whatever you like. But please, this is the only live television show that I know of in Chautauqua County, and this is your opportunity to get your word out, okay? So think about that. Like everybody else, we've tried to stay home, and whether I'm happy to report this or not, I've been working on my suntan, number one. My one guest and I, we shared one thing in common. We've been doing a lot of outdoor activity, building up some muscle, getting rid of some of the flab. I may have put on a little weight, and I think my hair has grown 2 inches. Salons are all closed. Anyways, so you try to make the best of it, and what people have been telling us to do seems to be working, and I encourage you to follow whatever the experts tell us to do. Let's do it. And I understand now that face masks are going to be something that they're highly recommending, so I suggest that you find one, get one, make one, whatever it is, and stay tuned because Bob Burke is going to be on Chautauqua Strong Moment a little bit later on today that you're going to see him, and I believe we're going to be talking about face masks. Okay? So stay tuned. Always remember you can check us out on Facebook, and all of our shows are on YouTube as well as Chautauqua Strong Moments. Lots of good information going on here in Chautauqua County, and we're trying to get it out to everybody through social media and TV. Okay, before I get to just some general announcements, I want you all to think about this for a minute. A lot of us are sitting at home. Some of us are retired, so it seems like no big deal. But a lot of folks that are essential workers are out there working, and a lot of them have young families, they got children, and this is not an easy matter, okay? I'm helping out a little bit. My wife is helping out a little bit. We're all helping the younger generation to watch the children during this time, but our family is more of what you would call a nuclear family where we're close by and so forth. But there's a lot of folks that don't have a good support system, and I'm happy to welcome back to the show Beth Starks, who's going to talk to you a little bit about child care during this epidemic time. Beth, welcome. I'm going to turn my chair so I can see you. So Beth, what's going on in the world of child care? It's kind of crazy right now, isn't it?
It is. So we are an essential service there to provide childcare for the essential workforce right now. So most of the childcare centers across the state are open and available and modifying procedures and policies to make sure that we're being safe, but childcare is there and available for families.
I bet people don't realize that because when they think of childcare centers, they think that maybe you must be following the school calendar or whatever, but you're open.
There was actually a lot of confusion around it when the schools closed. So when the governor made the announcement to close schools, he asked that schools consider 3 different items, and one was educational services, one was food, and one was childcare. And so each school actually had to submit a plan for how they were going to provide access for those 3 things for families. And so initially we did a lot of work working with the districts and linking them up with the community-based organizations and childcare facilities in the district to make sure to provide and offer that service for families.
So right now at your center here, right down at the Chautauqua Lake School System, are you seeing a decline in enrollment right now?
So initially we saw a decline, and now we're seeing an increase in enrollment as number one, word gets out, and number two, the needs of families are changing. So some are being called to work more than they were before.
Right.
Their children are home and not in school, and some of them are not using the same child care provider. So some of their previous child care providers are closed, or they were using grandma or grandpa and they don't want to expose them to, potentially
Right.
an illness. And so because of the changing needs of families, we have a lot of new enrollments now.
Okay, so childcare usually sounds like little kids. What's the age group that you cover?
So we provide care and education for 6 weeks all the way through 12 years.
Up to 12-year-olds?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
You didn't?
No, I didn't know that. I thought you were doing like preschoolers, for instance. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, that's great to know. So you're one of a number of childcare service providers in the county. Is there a one-stop shop to find out where these places are, or how's that all work?
There is. So we have a child care council, and that's the point of resource and referral in Chautauqua County. And so they are prepared, and we worked actually on a survey, and there's an 800 number that families can call. And so if they need care, they could be matched up to that care in the county, either in close proximity to their homes or to their work, and worked on additional funding streams as well. So we put together a plan with the Child Care Council, providers, the school districts, and then also working closely with the county. And they've been amazing in trying to make sure that we had a really cohesive plan so that we could support every family that needed care in the county. So that includes center-based care and in-home child care providers.
Okay, so for those that are listening on the radio, what's the phone number? Okay.
So it's 1-800-424-4532.
Okay, so again, 800-424-4532. And this is like a one-stop portal. You go call that number. I live in Ripley. Okay, you've got these choices here. Well, let's say there's nothing in Ripley. Well, you could go to Sherman, you could go to Westfield or wherever, and they just kind of fan you out there.
Absolutely. So they help you to find care and then also to get connected to resources in order to pay for childcare too.
All right, so when we say resource, we're talking money.
We are.
And is that difficult to get this money?
Well, so the state has really made sure that they increased the income levels and the availability of the child care subsidies during this time period. And so a lot more families are eligible for assistance than were previously.
All right, so that's really, really important, folks, that if you're out there and you need child care and you're struggling, and like you said, Grandma and Grandpa are saying, well, a couple days is fine, but now we're into week, 3 or 4, and this is getting old, and they might need some respite, but there's some money available and services are available.
In addition, some of the school districts are helping to provide that care for 5 and up, or to offer that care even for 3 and up. So Jamestown District is offering that child care for 3 and up, including anyone that works at UPMC, which is pretty amazing. And then our county chose to offer all of the care and support that they could for families and for child care centers. Each county had a choice on which of the waivers they wanted to submit to the state, and our local DHHS chose every single waiver, and they've been really, really supportive.
Excellent. Okay, so before I let you go, because I know you got things to do, and I got other people here. People listening, watching right now, they're thinking, all right, so if I send my child to one of these daycares, how do I know that they're going to be safe and healthy? So are there any special provisions or things that you're doing?
There are. So we are checking temperatures of the children and the staff upon entry. We've reduced group size to 10, and with younger children, it's even lower.
Mm-hmm.
And we also we've increased all of our cleaning and sanitizing procedures. Obviously, hand washing is important, and so trying to make sure that we increase the hand washing. We also are trying to promote social distancing. With school-age children, that's easier than it is with toddlers, and so we're trying to make sure that to the extent that we can, that we're as safe as possible, listening to both New York State Department of Health as well as our local Department of Health, and And we're licensed through the Office of Children and Family Services, and they've been really good about putting out resources, which, as you know, sometimes change by the hour. But the
Yeah.
Child Care Council is trying to get the word out to all providers so that we can make sure to be as safe as possible.
Terrific. Thanks, Beth. All right, so and you're going to come back later today, and we're going to shoot a public service announcement with all this information so people have a nugget real quick, right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Beth, for coming in.
Thank you so much
right.
for having me.
All right, you take care. Okay, folks. Well, it's affecting all aspects of our lives, and we don't even realize it. I mean, I just kind of think about some of this, and I think it's, I don't have to tell y'all. You know what I'm talking about. It's just amazing how it affects everything. And, when something happens for a couple days, it's no big deal. But then when you realize we're going on now probably 3 weeks, and, you can't do this. This is shut down. My wife said to me the other night, let's go get some sandwiches, take out. We did. And we went down to the lake and just sat and ate and just kind of relaxed and talked. And, we're doing a lot more cooking at home than we're doing takeout. But nonetheless, remember, a lot of the restaurants are still doing takeout, and let's not let them wither away. All right, lots of things to talk about. But before we do that, Mary Ann Spanos, Dr. Spanos from the Office for the Aging, asked me to share 2 special things here for seniors. All right, so let me share these with you. All right. This one is regarding Social Security. All right. And she wanted me to tell you that the IRS and Treasury Department announced last night, which was a couple nights ago, that Social Security beneficiaries who are not typically required to file tax return will not need to file to receive an economic impact payment. It's automatic. This came after a lot of advocacy and concern from national groups who worried that payments would be delayed to those most vulnerable who weren't required to file in years past. Let me read that first sentence again. The IRS and Treasury Department announced late the other night that Social Security beneficiaries who are not typically required to file tax returns will not need to file anything to receive an economic impact payment. It's going to be automatic. So if you had any questions about that, that should take care of that question. Now, let's see. And then she sent me another one that says the following. I got to bring it up here. All right. I think this kind of goes hand in hand. All right. This is from Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security, reminds the public that Social Security and supplemental income SSI benefit payments will continue to be paid on time during the COVID-19 pandemic. All right, so if you've been getting Social Security money and checks, it's still coming. The agency also reminds everyone to be aware of scammers who try to take advantage of pandemics to trick people into providing personal information or payment via retail gift cards, wire transfers, internet currencies, or by mailing cash to maintain Social Security benefit payments or receive an economic impact payment from the Department of the Treasury. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to fill out any forms. You don't have to send anybody any money. People that are on the dark side of life are trying to get into your pocket. Social Security will pay monthly benefits on time, and these payments will not be affected by COVID-19 pandemic. He goes on to say, I want our beneficiaries to be aware that scammers may try to trick you into thinking that pandemic is stopping or somehow changing your Social Security payments, but it's not true. Don't be fooled. And then the stimulus money that they're talking about, the $1,400 per person, there's putting out emails about fill out this form, get your money early, blah, 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 blah. Don't buy that. Don't listen to them. They come to the door. Don't even open the door. The agency continues to direct the public to its online service options, self-service options whenever possible. Local offices are closed to the public but are available by phone. And people can find their local field office phone number by accessing field office locator. So anyways, bottom line is people, don't get tricked by any of this nonsense that's out there. I've seen some of these. Don't answer a door. Somebody shows up in a white suit with a clipboard and they say they're in there to check your temperature and this other stuff. We're giving you the public service announcements. If there's anything that's going to happen around here, we're going to tell you ahead of time. So if you have any questions, be sure to call your county government phone numbers, Office for the Aging, whomever, and get the scoop before you do that. They're out there, and you just never know when they're going to show up. All right, a quick few announcements, and then we're going to get to my guest who's waiting. Okay, this is an announcement from the Allegheny Health Network, so let's pop that one up, Jeff. Okay, this is Allegheny Health Network is encouraging members of the community to support our frontline workers by joining hashtag Stay Home Team. Do your part by staying home and share the hashtag on your social media accounts. To learn more about how you can show your support, you can visit ahn.org, Coronavirus Stay Home Team, thank you. Okay, so everybody's jumping in, and of course, Westfield Memorial Hospital, one of our underwriters, is part of that system, and happy to share that information with you. All right, let's keep on moving. I got some public service announcements here. City of Jamestown extends City Hall closure, suspension of parking regulations, and so forth. So let me read what it says here. They extended the closure of City Hall, the suspension of downtown parking regulations, the closure of parking garages until April 15th. We seem to be going in 2-week blocks here. Monthly alternate parking regulations have gone into effect as planned. Mayor Sundquist, in a statement, said, as we continue to fight this pandemic, the need to extend the closure of city buildings to ensure the safety of city residents and employees are evident in conjunction with New York State. We will reassess our actions in a few weeks and announce if a further extension of closures and limiting actions beyond April 15th are necessary. I would like to thank the city residents for adhering to social distancing guidelines and allowing essential workers to do their best to keep our community functioning during this difficult time. And that's from Mayor Sundquist. Okay, let's see here. I've already covered that one. Let's see. Chautauqua Center's Behavioral Health Center as an announcement. The center has set up new protocols to ensure that behavioral health services remain in place for those seeking mental health and chemical dependency treatment during this COVID outbreak. You forget about people that are getting regular services. Clinics in Dunkirk and Jamestown will remain open for those in the community who wish to access treatment. Clinic hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 7, and Friday from 8 to 5. And many of you know the phone numbers. And the Jamestown Clinic is 484-4334, and Dunkirk 363-6050. All right. So again, their behavioral health and behavioral health services are still in place. All right. Chamber of Commerce of Chautauqua County, again, wants to remind you that lots of your businesses have curbside delivery. You can buy gift cards. Think about this. Even though you aren't spending money at a particular venue or local establishment, many of them have online gift cards with some incentives. You're going to go there sooner or later. You're going to get there because we're going to get through this. You're going to have a gift card in your hand ready to go to buy whatever it is you normally buy. But why we are encouraging you to do this? This is giving all these shop owners some money, some resources to keep them afloat through your gift cards. In other words, it's just like you give them a prepayment. They've got some liquid assets that they can work with, and they're struggling right now. So think about buying a gift card online. I've seen some of them done. Okay. Without going into great detail, the Chamber of Commerce reminds you that a lot of disaster loans and paycheck protection programs are in place. And if you have any questions, you most likely want to give the Small Business Development Center a call. Okay, so it's 338-1024, or you can go online to sbdcjcc.org. Again, sbdcjcc.org. So that'd be Small Business Development Center, jcc.org. Okay, many people are confused about this right now. How do they get the forms? What should they do? Who do I talk to? Small Business Development Center is your place to go. They are awesome. I've dealt with them over the years in a number of different ways. Okay, let's see. And then finally, Chautauqua County Crisis Response Fund. Our local philanthropic community has established the Chautauqua County Crisis Response Fund, COVID-19, through a partnership launched by United Ways and Community Foundations of Chautauqua County. Donations are being accepted and grants will be made to help fill critical needs. Grant awards will be made to non-profit organizations and will be designed to complement the work of government and expand local capacity. For more information, you can go to chautauquagrants.org. Hey folks, our county is banding together, they're rallying, we're gonna get through this and everybody is doing their part. So relax, stay calm, stay home, wear your masks, all that good stuff. We're gonna take a little break and we're gonna be right back. Stay tuned. I'm Doc Hamels, and we have another Chautauqua Strong Moment. With us today is Dr. Mary Ann Spiles, Director of Office for the Aging, and we're going to talk about the dark side of these situations where people are trying to take advantage of others during crisis. Mary Ann, what do we got?
You know, it's very unfortunate, but like every other crisis, we do have people coming out to take advantage of people, and of course, our seniors get scared and they're probably the most vulnerable at this time. So we have a lot of scams going on, and we've had people click on things or call people on television or Facebook ads, and all of a sudden they're unsigned from their regular insurance. And our health insurance counselors at Office for the Aging are standing by. They will take your calls if you're having a problem, but the thing that people should remember is you shouldn't be changing insurance at this time. You shouldn't be giving out your Medicare number or Social Security number at this time, because there are unscrupulous people trying to scam you, trying to steal your identity. If you want to know what the current scams are, I encourage people to go to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. Their website is consumer.ftc.gov. And you can actually subscribe to their blog about current scams. Things to remember: don't click on links from sources you don't know. People are getting emails claiming to be from the Centers for Disease Control, CDC. They might be getting emails claiming to be from the World Health Organization. Don't click on those things. Don't believe that there is an email coming to you from the Center for Disease Control. Go as the county executive and our health director has emphasized. If you want up-to-date information about what's going on, go to the New York State Department of Health, go locally to our Chautauqua County Department of Health Facebook page. You can also go to the county executive's Facebook page or sign up for his Monday morning memo. Ignore online offers for vaccinations. There are currently no vaccines, pills, potions, lozenges, or other prescriptions or over-the-counters that are available to treat COVID-19. So please ignore advertisements for that. They're probably a scam trying to steal your credit card information or your identity. Do your homework when it comes to donations, whether through charities or crowdfunding sites. Don't let anyone rush you into donating money. If someone wants donations in cash, by gift card, or wiring money, don't do it. It's a scam. Be careful not to reach out to television, mail, or phone advertisements about changing your health insurance. As I said, we've already gotten a few people who've done this, and then they call us in a panic because they're signed up for something that doesn't work with their local doctor and the local hospital. Right now is not the time to change your insurance, so stay with what you have. Call the Office for the Aging if you have questions. And again, our New York Connects helpline number is 753-4582.
Dr. Spano, good advice during a crisis time where there are people that will take advantage of you anytime they can. And this goes for even when we're not in a crisis. Someone's trying to get into your wallet. I'm Doc Hamels. Good advice from Dr. Spanos. We'll see you next time. Let's stay Chautauqua strong. Want to do a shout out to the crew here at Access Chautauqua. Chris Burt directing all those Chautauqua moments. Really pleased that we can get those out too. So that was an example, and we're going to be doing more of those today. All right, patiently waiting is our district attorney for Chautauqua County, Mr. Patrick Swanson. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning, Doc.
Good morning. So here we are.
Yeah, where are we?
It seems like every 7 minutes we get a new everything from the federal government, from the state government, local government, and so forth. How are you keeping up on all this? I mean, this is like a nightmare, isn't it?
Well, it somewhat resembles a nightmare. Fortunately for myself, I don't remember my dreams, so I'm kind of learning as we go through. But no, we're seeing a significant amount of change with how we do our daily business in our office. And before we dig into that, I do want to touch on that Chautauqua Strong public service announcement, because we see so many scams that are targeted at seniors, and I cannot reiterate enough how vigilant they need to be, especially at a time like this. There are people out there that prey on our elderly population relentlessly, and I cannot encourage those people enough to, if it looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. They're going to prey on you. They're going to try and get your information. You need to protect that information. It's because people are coming to get it. They take advantage of these situations, and we see an uptick in elder abuse or financial fraud when we have one of these things going on. So please take care of your information. If you have any questions, there's always governmental sources out there you can go to find out if this is a legitimate thing, but don't just start providing your vital personal information without verifying that it's legitimate.
Last week, you probably have seen these. I got this email from somewhere from around the world. It wasn't in the United States, basically saying that this person has gotten into my computer, has all my passwords, has me in a compromising position because my camera was on my computer, and if he doesn't want me to post all these videos of me, which I don't have, and that had to send him 799 bitcoins or some nutty thing, right? And he's threatening me this and that. It's pretty scary when you get these things, but it's just a bunch of baloney.
Actually, there is a legitimate scam like that where they hack into computers. Typically, those kind of scams are designed they hack into your computer and don't allow you access to it. I know some governmental entities have been hit by those particular hackers that hold it out for ransom. To allow you to get back into your system, but that is out there. Yeah. But it's crazy, the world we live in today, and the people, the nefarious things that people do. It's sad.
But before we get to any further, let's do a shout out to your grandmother.
Oh yeah,
Very, very cool article in the paper the other day.
Yeah, Wednesday I believe we went down to Memory Gardens there at the Tanglewood Manor. It's off 394 down in Lakewood, and we did a little family gathering outside in the parking lot. My grandmother turned 103 on the 31st.
God bless her.
So she was born just before the Spanish flu, and now she's here for coronavirus. And,
wow.
But no, she's doing well. She still plays cards, I understand, but doing very well.
It's a tough situation though when you can't give her a hug and share a birthday cake, but you still had your posters up there and waved her, and I guess she did the same. So, and what's her name?
Priscilla Swanson.
Priscilla
Swanson.
She was easy for me to say.
From Frewsburg originally. She was the Thayer family. They had a big farm involved with the Underground Railroad. Very interesting history. I went back and dug through some stuff. I don't know, years ago, but during college, one of my history classes required you interview someone and write a paper. So I interviewed her, and I have some very, very cool recordings of my conversations with her and the paper that I wrote. So very fortunate that I did that.
Super. Pat, some time ago I asked you to come on the show, so I mean a lot has taken place. I mean, we're talking a couple months ago, I think. I contacted you because I'm usually way ahead on my schedule, and at that time my concern was this, and I call it catch and release legislation that's been in place for some time now. I've had the opportunity to read, to talk with judges, to listen to folks at the prison level. Where are we now? Because I understand the new budget came out with some new pieces on it. So my version of catch and release is somebody does something pretty petty instead of, well, I'm not sure. They don't go to jail. They don't post bail or they don't show up right away. And then they just walk out the door and they go do it again. So maybe that's being simplistic, but I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's a phrase that's been used when describing the new bail statute. The state legislature took it upon themselves to take a look at this a year ago. They crafted a new law. They pushed it through the budget, which I'm not a fan of that process. Whenever you're doing substantive change to policy things, I would hope that there'd be discussion, there'd be public comment, but this was not one of those cases. And we got a bail statute aiming to fix a problem that's real. There were some issues with the old bail statute where there could have been improvements made in a responsible way, but what ended up resulting was a bail statute that essentially took a large number of offenses and stripped the ability for the judge to require that defendant to post bail. By and large, the majority of the offenses, over 400 offenses, were taken out of what you can get bail and what you can hold someone pre-trial on. It hasn't gone well since January 1st. We have a number of offenses that, as the public's learning about this statute, they feel very egregious that you can't hold someone for this, or I can't believe that they're just arresting this person and giving them a ticket. So they looked at it again, and my understanding was there was going to be some changes in the state budget, and as of 4 a.m. on April 1st, there was. I don't know that it made the changes that I for one would have hoped for. As a member of the District Attorneys Association, I'm on their board of directors. I know we would have liked to have seen some different things changed. But what ended up happening, and I'll get the full rundown of the law as it's digested over the weekend. There's a number of people working on that. What essentially has happened is they've added more offenses to what you can be held pretrial on. And there was I thought a well-reasoned, fair bill proposed by some senators downstate that would have, I think, been the best possible outcome. Unfortunately, that's not what we got. We got a bail statute that still has removed the discretion that judges are allowed to exercise when determining the pretrial status of a defendant. Now, that being said, they have added some offenses in that probably you should be able to get bail on in certain circumstances. They've added some sections about if you're on probation or parole, you can get bail depending on the case. They take a look at your criminal history if you're potentially a persistent felon offender.
And this is the rollback?
This is the new one.
So before yesterday or a couple days ago, if you were on parole, you didn't have to post bail?
For the new offense, if it was a non-qualifying offense, it did not contemplate that circumstance. Yeah, so it wasn't the best law, especially when you're considering, and what is, the linchpin in all this is what's best for public safety. Mm-hmm. And if you don't allow your judges who are elected to do their job to consider a public safety risk, given the criminal history and the offense and the likelihood of reoffense.
Okay, I have two questions before we go any further.
There's a lot to talk about on this one issue.
Simple questions, I hope. Why is this being handled through the state budget? I mean, this is law, isn't it? I mean,
it's substantive policy, yes. There's no budget figure attached to this. There's no dollar figure attached. So it is puzzling. It seems to be the new norm with how things get done down in Albany. Things that are controversial, it's easier to lump them into the budget and have to vote on this whole package of things rather than as an individual
all right, so
standalone
this is like
bill.
A series of bills that are connected?
Yeah, there are a number of bills connected to the budget.
So it's really not a budget item. It just happens to be part of this
bail? No.
Omnibus bill type.
Yes.
That's interesting.
All
right, so now I want to roll the tape back a little bit, and let me see if I got this right. Bail reform was to kind of protect a person that might have been a first offense, didn't have a lot of money, they sat in jail because they couldn't make their, I'm making up a number, $200 bail,
Sure.
and they're sitting there for like months and months. waiting for not arraignment, for their day in court, right?
Yeah, I'm not aware of that situation existing here.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, that's the way, I know that's simplistic.
Sure.
But I'm hearing that was the idea, maybe not months and months, but a long time, and meanwhile, their family doesn't have, support and things like that. So, I mean, what was the reason behind all this?
Well, there certainly are cases out there where someone has languished in jail pre-trial longer than they probably should have.
Right.
There's we don't run a perfect system, but the system that we have is in my opinion the most effective criminal justice system in the world. Now, just to let you know a little bit about statistics from a New York standpoint, prior to January 1st this year, we were the safest large state in the country when you break the states into large and small states. And we had the lowest incarceration rate of any large state in the country. So something was working well in our system of criminal justice to not only have the safest large state, but also the one that incarcerates the least number of people when you're comparing it to other large states. So we were doing our job well. And these examples that came out over the course of this dialogue and pushing for this law, these examples, there are examples out there if you're looking for examples of when the system's failed. There are. This, like I said, this system's not perfect. But it certainly isn't the norm, and certainly not the norm here. I know that in jurisdictions where they have a higher number of crimes and larger populations, like New York City, people get lost in the shuffle. Their defense lawyers, their defense agencies there lose track of their clients because they have so many. You have, hundreds of thousands of people getting arrested in that state or in that city over a given month, for example, and you have a lot of case load. And somebody gets forgotten, and then they sit in Rikers Island for too long, and bad things happen after that. But we don't have that here. We're rare. Our policy on bail over the last 4 years has been, look, if we're not seeking jail time, if we get a conviction on this case, we shouldn't be holding them pre-trial unless they're a flight risk. So, we applied a very practical, rubric for what are we going to do to recommend bail, and it essentially boils down to, is this an offense we're going to ask for jail or prison time on? If it's not, why do we need to hold them? For example, a petty larceny, first-time offender. We aren't going to ask for that person to be held pre-trial. Why would we do that?
So this would be something shoplifting or something like
Yeah, and we were very practical about it. We didn't have those problems where somebody would sit in jail on $200 for months longer.
But those are the examples people were giving at one time, right?
And those examples are real. They're out there.
Right, but not
like
necessarily
I said,
here.
Yeah, like I said, if you're looking hard enough, you're going to find some examples that are egregious.
Okay. So if I'm getting this straight, then this whole reform was sort of colored by downstate needs rather than Chautauqua County needs.
Yes.
Okay. And this is true of a lot of things here in the state, and good or bad, but it's either it's all for one and one for all kind of a thing, so you can't break off and be your own judicial system here, I guess.
That's you're right. We have counties that have 18,000 people. We have a county as small as 18,000, then we have our counties in New York City. And when you're crafting laws, trying to hit the target for all of those, that wide range of population, you're going to miss the mark some places.
Okay, so let's forget about what's the new provision, because we're not quite sure what's in all that right yet. So what is the state of, like today? If somebody has a domestic quarrel, do they go to jail and get bailed or post bail?
Depends on if there's a violation of an order of protection.
Make it really simple and real easy.
If it's just a domestic disturbance, which quite frankly, right now, given the circumstances right now, we have seen a slight uptick in the number of DV offenses being called in. For obvious reasons. People are holed up in their houses. They have nowhere to go. That being said, DWI crimes are down. But no, if somebody's arrested on a simple domestic, maybe there's an assault, there's a harassment. No, there's not the option for bail if it's just low-level violent. Well, I would classify them as violent offenses.
Right.
But no, you can't get bail on a DV offense.
Now, a year ago, would you?
Depends on the circumstances. We would ask for it from time to time, but we could if we felt it warranted.
Because I think people are feeling outraged that someone does a criminal act, they're arrested, they don't go to jail, they don't post bail, they get a Summons, a
Yeah,
ticket.
that happens for a lot of cases at this point. D and E felonies, you can feasibly just get a ticket for it to appear.
So then they say, oh, don't do that again. I'll see you in 3 weeks at court. Then they go home and do it again.
Yeah,
That's what's out there. I'm not saying that's the reality. That's what I'm hearing, is that we're just throwing them right back into the pool and they're doing it again.
well, that's exactly what's happening. And the concern I have with the bail statute as it exists right now is we're doing that with people who are selling drugs, which I have a real big
me
problem
too,
with,
yeah.
because when you have someone who's involved in the sale and trade of narcotics, you aren't talking about someone who has gainful employment on the side, who's living an otherwise lawful life on the side. You have somebody who's involved in a criminal enterprise to sell poison to our people. And when you work a drug task force case for 6 months and you utilize confidential informants and you work up a case against somebody to prosecute them for selling this poison to our communities, which is killing people, you go and you make that arrest, and the bail statute as it exists now, and my understanding is it did not change for drug offenses other than Class A1s, which are rarely charged. We can't get bail on that person. And here's the thing, when you arrest someone for selling drugs, it's not like they have that come to Jesus moment, and this revelation of, I'm going to go get a job at McDonald's now, working behind a cash register.
You're right. I was wrong.
Because I just got caught.
But you can't go to work. There is no place you can be a cashier.
Their job is to sell these drugs to our people struggling with addiction, and it doesn't make much sense to me that we're not able to at least assess this person's public safety risk. And we are one of only a couple states that don't allow judges to do that when making a bail determination. So, I have some real problems with the bail statute as it exists now, and given my preliminary reading of the one that is likely to be law once the governor signs it, I still have some problems with as it's going to be in the future. Discovery is another issue that's very real, and there are changes coming to discovery as well. If you're not aware, January 1st, the state mandated through another law passed through the budget that we turn over all the evidence in a case within 15 days.
Yeah, I read that.
Of the arraignment.
It's like, this is like watching TV, isn't it? NCIS, they have all the evidence in 48 hours and they're in court already.
Unfortunately, that's not how the real world works, and it's really taxed our office. And we've seen, cases pile up, and we've had to, obviously come up with a hierarchy of what are we doing first? Major felonies, violent offenses, crimes where people are injured. Make sure we're keeping up on the cases where we have an identifiable victim. But get these cases taken care of first so that we aren't losing cases if we can't comply with this 15-day mandate. And what we've seen is essentially, up until this crisis, we were slowly getting behind. So over 2 months, you could, in speaking with my staff, we were slowly getting behind. Fortunately, we were able to catch up now because courts are closed. Crime is slowing right now because people are inside. The opportunity to commit offenses isn't there because businesses are closed, et cetera. But the new bail statute is going to change. My understanding is it's going to give us X number of days for somebody who's in custody and X number of days for somebody who's out of custody. And it is going to be more than 15 days.
Good.
I don't know exactly the number. I want to say it's 20 days for someone in custody and maybe 35 for out of custody, but I'll have the full write-up on Monday.
Hypothetically, and I'm not saying this is happening here in Chautauqua County, but hypothetically, if you didn't get your discovery, all the evidence in place in 15 days, that person walks?
No, not necessarily. The law really hasn't been challenged in appeals courts, so there's a lot of uncertainty in just what the penalty will be if you don't comply with those 15 days. It could be preclusion, it could be a sanction against the prosecutor who didn't turn it over in a timely manner, or it could be dismissal of the charge. But like I said, we were only 2-3 months in, and now we're going to see some changes to this too. And that brings the overarching I guess problem with all this is, I think I sat here 4 years ago. I was on your show, and in those 4 years, we have seen a mountain of change in our criminal justice system. We have taken 16 and 17-year-olds out of the mix, and with raise the age legislation that was phased in over 2 years. We've changed bail. We've changed discovery. We're going to change bail and discovery again. All of those things require training, require interpretation, require, making sure you're adjusting your office policies.
I would think all your documentation has to change.
Everything we do gets changed when these major changes be enacted. And we've seen major change every single year that I've held office.
And this filters down to the patrolmen that are on the beat, that are out, the state police, the sheriff's department, the Jamestown police. I mean, they've got to be in concert with you folks, right?
Yes. We, in preparation for the new discovery, because we can't turn the evidence over if the police don't get it to us, we spent a lot of time in training meetings and really administrative meetings with the local departments, local law enforcement, to make sure that they knew what we needed, when we needed it, and all of that's going to have to be done again. And my understanding is when these laws when the budget's signed, it's X number of days. I want to say 30 days for the new discovery changes, and I think it's 90 days for the bail.
Wow.
So we're going to see this change not only come again, we're going to see it come very quickly, and now I'm going to have to train staff, work with law enforcement to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Okay, in light of where we are right now with this pandemic, all right, where's the opioid crisis? I mean, that was what we all talked about. Now all of a sudden it's gone under for obvious reasons.
Well, we've seen an uptick in overdoses over the last couple weeks. I think that's not a surprise. But the other concern we had was our ability to treat people struggling with addiction. Given the bail statute and how these things are all interconnected, I think a real concern going into January of this year was, how are we going to reach these people who need help? And if someone's picked up for just a simple possession of a narcotic, we can't get bail on this person. We're going to have to give them a ticket. And what are they going to do between now and their next court date? And there's real concern about this. We were working with historically high numbers in our treatment courts, and we have seen that number now begin to fall because we're not able to divert them in there because there's no benefit, because a lot of times these people struggling with addiction, they'd have bail placed on them. They couldn't make that bail. They'd dry up in the county jail enough to make good decisions, at least decisions that are in their best interest. And then they, through negotiations with their lawyer, we'd get them in the treatment court and they'd get help. And we've had some really good success stories come out of our treatment court. And my concern is as we move into the future with the bail statute as it is, and even the changes coming, that tool to help people who need it the most is not there. And you couple that with not being able to hold drug dealers, and you see that cycle
Wow, this
speed
is
up.
making my head spin.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that takes care of the discussion on that for the moment. Now, I don't even know where to start with this, but you keep hearing these suggestions, recommendations, mandates, emergency statutes from government with the corona epidemic right now. Where does it put you as a district attorney's office as far as enforcing whatever these things are? They're not laws, but I mean, for instance, you're not essential, close your shop. Can they be prosecuted if they're open? How's that work?
There is the potential for that. There are a good number of guidelines that were sent out to law enforcement. I've had some conversations back and forth with the sheriff about what are our enforcement options. What are we going to do if a business isn't complying with the officers, the governor's mandate? And there are circumstances that could lead to a prosecution, but we hope we don't have to get there.
Right.
There's a level of essentially of interdiction that the governor's prescribed, which the sheriff and I both agree with, and it's give them a warning. We don't want to have to arrest people for gathering when they shouldn't be, or businesses that are opening. I know on the business side of things, the threat is bigger, that they might lose their business license, they'll be fined civilly. But I just hope people are heeding the warnings of the scientists and understanding that, look, we need to get through this first, and hopefully the government's there to provide the assistance that get us through there. And I think we're moving in the right direction. My office, on the other hand, we went back now, I guess, on the 14th 16th. It was a Monday, 3 weeks ago from this Monday.
It was the 16th.
And
it was the day
things-
before St. Patrick's
Yeah,
Day. I know.
Yes, and things were starting to look like they were going to become this was going to be a real issue.
Yeah.
So the first thing we did, we're in like a submarine down in our office. We're in the basement of the county building, and if one person were to get this virus and expose the whole office, we'd shut down.
Yeah.
And I realized, I spoke with my chief assistant, John Zarowski, and I had a lengthy conversation that morning about what do we need to do now. So we immediately sent staff home so that we separate out so that if somebody gets it, the whole office doesn't go under.
Yeah.
So we've been working on a rotating work, essentially limiting the number of people you're exposed to on a daily basis, still trying to accomplish what we have to do. And we people, we haven't seen no crime. There are people getting arrested daily in this county, and we still have to be there to handle those cases and assist law enforcement in investigations of things. So, we've managed. We're very fortunate. I will say this: the discovery statute forced us to go to a digital file management system. It just forced us because there's no way we're going to be able to comply with this with paper files. That is the saving grace of what we're doing right now.
So you go online?
Because all of my attorneys have a Microsoft Surface, and they can go online, they can look at all their cases, they can look at all the case material. So they're working from home right
Virtually.
now, reviewing discovery, making sure that they're prepared for when courts start back up. Because when that happens, we are going to have a mountain of backup.
All right, you just said something, and that was the word that was stuck in my mind as we were talking. The courts are shut down. For people that are watching right now, they got to understand this isn't something you determined, right?
No.
So what does that mean? The courts are shut down. There's no court is in session.
There have been a series of executive orders saying what can be done in courts right now. Essentially nothing. I mean, it's not nothing, but from a criminal standpoint, it's almost nothing. We're doing arraignments. There are
And that's at the jail.
They're being done now by Skype. We are
By
doing
Skype?
everything virtual at this point, and I think we were one of the first counties that started to do it. Judge Cass and Judge Lamancuso
Because
really.
before all this, they were going right to the jail, right?
Yeah,
They were
well,
on a
they-
rotating basis.
Initially, everything got centralized in county court up in here in Mayville.
Right.
And they were bringing people here from everywhere in the county. This was 3 weeks ago. Now we're just doing it via Skype from the jail, from the Jamestown lockup, from Dunkirk Police, and everything's being done virtually right now to limit the exposure of everyone.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah,
I
we are
did not
truly
know
in a strange and difficult time.
The question just came through my earpieces. Efficiency-wise, how does that work for you folks? It's working okay?
It's working as good as it can, I guess. I think the dread in my office is how backed up we're going to be when we get back to normal life. There's going to be so many cases that have not been, all the cases that were pending are still pending. Nothing's being disposed. We're going to have a big backup when we come back.
So the inmates that are in jail right now, are they waiting for trial or?
Some of them in our county jail are federal prisoners. Some of them are sentenced prisoners. Some of them are parole holds. Some of them are pretrial. We made an effort to reduce that number for people who were close to the end of their sentence, or they're in some technical violation of probation where it was nonviolent violation. And we agreed on a number of cases, right around a dozen of people we felt we just don't need to have there. But other than that, the people over there, some of them are waiting for trial, some of them are sentenced. It's kind of a mix.
Okay. Pat, we've got about a minute and a half left. I'll let you talk about whatever you want to talk about to the community that's watching right now. Anything you want to share with us?
If you have concerns with what's happening with criminal law, and I think a lot of people in our public have those concerns, talk to your assemblyman, talk to your senator. Senator Borrello has been very vocal on our bail situation. I attended one of his hearings that he held on repealing the bail statute. And it's not a political thing. It's Senator Burrell's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I go to these things because my job is to ensure public safety in this county. I feel that the law that's written right now, that even is about to change, that we just discussed. I think it still puts the people who are law-abiding and victims and our witnesses at risk. And if you have concerns, don't hesitate to call Senator Borrello, Assemblyman Goodell, call my office. But I've been very active with the District Attorneys Association, as a member of the board of directors and lobbying to change this. I think we can craft a bail statute that assuages some of the concerns with people being held because they're poor and for no other reason. And I think we can still protect public safety with a bail statute that makes sense.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today and explaining some of these things. I mean, a lot of times folks like you get beat up in the media because people don't understand why you had to do what you had to do. So that opened up my eyes to a lot of situations right now. So I want to thank you. Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest today has been District Attorney Patrick Swanson. Again, you can watch this over and over again on YouTube. It'll be rebroadcast at 2 and 8 throughout the week. And I thank you for joining us. And
Thanks for
again,
having me, Doc.
if you have any questions, folks, about scams, the coronavirus, opioid addictions, bail, anything, give Pat's office a call. All right? We'll see you all next week. Take care. Listen to your medical directions and stay healthy out there.